And just like that, we're back. News from Section 400. Matt, Jack, and Brian are here all together. I know we've had some logistical hurdles getting the full squad together, but we're back for an action-packed NFL Week 2 recap. Brian's back, Jack's back, and you can't tell, I am fired up because, oh, what a day of football it was. Jack sad, Brian sad, those Niners lost, Cowboys lost. It was an action-packed slate. But if you notice, Brian has the Mets hat on, and the Mets traveled to South Philly to play a 3-game series in what might have been the biggest series of the year for the New York Mets and probably the Phillies to keep, getting that magic number down. They won game 1 on Friday. I was boots on the ground. And the Mets came in ready to play. 11-3 looked like, holy shit, the Mets are going to sweep and we're going to be fucking rattled next week when we got to go to Citi Field and play 4 games. Nope. Team responded. When Saturday came back 4-0 down, guys in AA, AAA are robbing home runs in center field. And win Saturday, go out there, get a walk-off winner to take 2 of 3 and send the sorry-ass Mets out of Philadelphia. Brian, your instant reaction to the Mets basically being eliminated from winning the division. I'm surprised you're wearing a hat, man.
I have to. I painted my own bed here. I painted my own bed. That shows how much my brain is working right now. Obviously, they lose 2 of 3 to freaking Buddy Kennedy, Weston Wilson, and a guy named Cal. I can't get away from things named Cal right now. The next guy I see named Cal in the Starbucks line, I'm going to punch in the face. It's horrible. The worst part of it all is Francisco Lindor's back because all great Mets players have to have back problems. They were outscoring the Phillies 15-0 in the series, 15-3, whatever it was, and then his back flares up. And it all goes to hell. And the Dodgers can't beat the Braves. The D-backs just keep winning. It's Loserville right now for the New York Mets. And we'll see how Francisco's MRI goes, but I am sad.
So you came into this series thinking the Mets had a shot at the division, and now you're on the, oh my gosh, we're not even going to make the playoffs train?
Well, they did have a shot at the division. They were 7 down after they won game 1. If they won the next 2, which they were leading in the 7th inning or later, which is always the Mets, leading in the 7th inning or later and then blowing it after, they would have been 5 down playing the Nats this week and then 4 more against the Phillies. But now they're 8, 9 down, and the Braves can't lose. And we're on the outside looking in. I'm not happy.
Are the Mets going to make the playoffs as we sit here Monday morning? 8, 9 games back with 4 games to go at home in Citi Field against the Phillies. I don't know what else they have.
The division's wrapped up.
The division's wrapped up, but are they going to make the playoffs? Yes or no? I don't need a whole analyst. I don't need a whole dive in. Yes or no? Are the Mets making the playoffs unbiased? Go.
Well, I'm going to have to put an asterisk on it because we're going to have to see how Lindor's MRI goes. If he's out for a week, then no. If he can play on Monday or Tuesday, then yeah, I still believe.
How many games out of the playoffs are they, right? Division's over. How many are the playoffs?
As we're recording this, I believe the Braves and Dodgers game is still going on. It's 2-2. So if the Dodgers end up beating the Braves, they'll still be tied with the Braves. If the Braves pull it out, they'll be a game behind. But without Lindor, they're screwed. This guy's at least should be the MVP for a reason. He's carrying the team.
Robbing a guy like Ohtani's going to go 50-50 this year. Yeah.
He doesn't play defense.
I don't care. It's a fucking 50-50 season, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot easier
to steal. Mets suck.
Listen, right. I understand the historical significance of it and the greatness of it, but it's a whole lot easier to steal 50 bags when you're not he's playing for 20 minutes a game. It's a lot easier to have healthy legs and stay healthy and steal those bases when you're not playing defense. Let alone
There's no doubt about that, Brian. But at the same time, this is an offensive league. Nobody gives a shit about defense anymore. That's why they have people like Aaron Judge out there. I'm kidding. Aaron Judge is pretty good, but he's a slow man.
But to your point, Jack, Trey Turner damn near leads the league in errors. The guy plays horrible defense. And they don't give a fuck because he bats 300. He hits for decent power. And he's able to create chaos at the top of the lineup. Nobody cares about defense. I don't care about defense. The Phillies are so defensively, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but they're not a good defensive team. But they create chaos in the batting lineup, and that's the bottom line.
That's the difference between the Phillies and the Dodgers and the Mets. The Mets need it. They need Lindor to be that defensive captain, and that's why he's the most valuable player.
And how's that looking for them? One game out of the most MVP win it when they're one game out of the playoffs with 2 weeks to go in the season? Or do you give it to the guy who's having a 50-50 season and borderline the number one team in the National League?
Listen, they're going to give it to him.
I don't know. You tell me. Comment below. Let me know what you think.
They're going to give it to him.
It's the fucking correct answer right there.
If Lindor is out for the rest of the year, the Mets are going to go like there's 14 games left. They probably go 5-9, and that should tell you everything right there. They've been the best team in baseball with him since June, and he's going to be out, and they're going to finish the season horrible if he's out. That's why he should be the MVP.
The MVP of the Mets.
You do make a fair.
At their banquet at the end of the year, they can give him a plaque that says you were the MVP of the Mets this year. Great.
But when you make that much of a difference, when you make that much of a difference for the team, that should be the MVP.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, Ohtani has a loaded roster with the Dodgers, so you can definitely make that point. That's a fair point to make. But at the end of the day,
if Ohtani's not on the Dodgers, they're not where they are right now. I don't care all the money they spent.
Maybe. It's whatever. I don't want to get too sad about this. I'm already sad about the Giants, and we're going to have to talk about that later. So we can talk more Mets-Phillies after the Mets sweep the Phillies in Citi Field next week.
That is just asinine that you would end it with that. Yeah, like you said, let's jump into a little bit of NFL Week 2, action-packed. And if you thought that open was energetic, just wait until we get into the games right after a word from our quick sponsor, SeatGeek.
The best time of the year is here. Football is back. And whether you're going to a game at Jordan-Hare to cheer on Auburn, going to the Link to watch the Birds, or going up to MetLife, not JetLife, Matt, to watch the Giants probably lose, you're going to want to go to SeatGeek, the official sponsor of the Views from Section 400 podcast. New users, $20 off your first purchase by using code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout. Again, new users, $20 off your first purchase to any football game, any postseason baseball game, anything you're doing this late summer or fall. Code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout. Thank you to SeatGeek, the official sponsor of the podcast.
NFL Week 2. We just had a full Sunday, action-packed. And it was like Christmas morning for me, man. The Niners go down. The Cowboys go down. The Giants go down, which isn't saying much, but they still go down. And, before meeting Jack, I didn't give a crap about the Jags. But his just going off on and on about how the Jags are this and the Jags are that, and they're now 0-2 after I think Jack had them as a 12-win team this year.
11.
Hell yeah, I'd love to see that down there in Florida. But the biggest one, the most fun one, right? Because everybody has this team, the NFC, best team. And yeah, sure, they made it to the Super Bowl last year. Best team in the NFC. This, that, and the third. Brock Purdy this, Brock Purdy that. I don't want to hear it. They just got smoked. Okay, maybe not smoked, but they just got their ass kicked by the Minnesota Vikings, who, oh, by the way, are led by Sam Darnold, who, oh, by the way, is playing like an MVP right now.
It was a Sam Darnold revenge game, and he got his revenge.
He got his revenge, and until further notice, until they prove otherwise, I don't want to hear any Niner fans. I don't want to hear anything about the 49ers, and I don't need to see any headlines about that team being good, being the best team in the NFC, and that, I know the Eagles play tomorrow, but to say that the Eagles can't compete with that team, I don't care what happened last year. This is this year.
Yeah, that was an unacceptable loss from San Francisco. What were they, 6.5-point favorites?
6.5-point favorites on the road against Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold is a meme quarterback in the NFL.
He is a meme quarterback. It came down to the turnovers, man. Like, we say it all. I mean, every coach ever will say it. You cannot turn the ball over. Purdy turned it over. He had an interception. He had a fumble. They had 2 more fumbles to go on top of that. I think they had four total turnovers. This is just a sloppy game by San Francisco, man, and you can really tell that they're hurting without Christian McCaffrey there. Jordan Mason has been very, very good running the football, filling in that way, but Christian McCaffrey does so much more that I think they're really missing.
I got laughed at when I said the Niners were my loser of the week after beating the Jets, laughed off the show, and this McCaffrey loss is becoming more and more of the biggest problem with them right now. He clearly carries that team, and this might just be step one. We might see this turn into, a trend here of the Niners losing games without McCaffrey.
Yeah, there's some really bad vibes going on down there in San Francisco. And I don't know what it is. Maybe the Pacific Northwest little threshold has made its way down to San Francisco. I don't know what's really going on, but you cannot lose to Sam Darnold, who, by the way, throws a good ball. And I said he threw a good ball. And he had a nice ball to Justin Jefferson in this game for a long touchdown.
Yeah.
Bro, the Vikings even tried to help the Niners out. It was like 20-7. Aaron Jones was about to score and then fumbled on the goal line. I mean, they tried to get him back into the game.
That's the second time in 2 weeks we've seen an NFL running back do that. And I'm sorry to pick on you before we get to your team, Jack, but what's going on here?
He's like, the 1 yard, he should have scored.
Look, I got no excuse for Travis Etienne, but in Aaron Jones' defense, Fred Warner came flying in there with an arm swinging in there. I think anybody would fumble that football, for being honest. Fred Warner flying at you, you don't have a great chance of holding on to that, especially when your goal line, you're about to go, stretch it out over to the into the end zone. But Travis Etienne, I got no words for that. I'm so disappointed in the Jags. I don't even want to talk about them.
Well, we'll get to them. Don't you worry.
We'll get to them, man. Only thing on the Niners, and I'll leave it at this. Until I'm proven otherwise, until further notice, I don't want to hear a word from the Niners fan base, community, whatever you want to call it. Sit in San Jose, where your stadium is, you frauds. You guys just got lost to Sam Darnold. Let that sink in all week. And I don't want to hear anything from you for the rest of the year, especially if you're going to have this going on. Go Birds. Speaking of Go Birds, divisional rival, Dallas Cowboys, who I can't stand. Probably worse than the Niners. The Cowboys just been pretty irrelevant. Yeah, sure, battle for the division. Niners are obviously we had a plan in the playoffs, the whole thing. But Cowboys, maybe the Niners didn't necessarily get their ass kicked. You know who did? The fucking Dallas Cowboys got their asses handed to them by the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara turning back the clock, 4 touchdowns, 100 yards rushing. How about that for a retirement home, Brian?
Yeah, Alvin Kamara has proven me wrong. He's definitely turning back the clock here. But, boys, we're 2 weeks into the NFL season, and the New Orleans Saints are unequivocally the best team in football. I know
Derek Carr's the MVP right now. Who says otherwise?
The Panthers in week 1, but, this point differential is absurd. They're the best team in football.
Top 2 guys for MVP right now, Derek Carr and Sam Darnold?
It might be Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara.
Derek Carr only threw 16 passes in this game. All right. And one of them was an interception. I don't really think that he's an MVP as much as you guys want to get. Sure, he's thrown a couple of nice deep balls to Rashid Shaheed that have pumped up his numbers. The Saints have looked phenomenal, but it starts with the defense, dude. That defense is creating turnovers, creating short field position. But I got to give them some credit. All right, I'm not going to take it all away from them. They did handle the Cowboys. They're 2-0. That point differential is definitely number 1 in the NFL. Derek Carr's got some swag. I can't lie. He's playing with some swag. Sam Darnold's playing with some swag. The Vikings, the Saints, they're both playing some swag right now.
In a not very tough division, right? I mean, they got to be the clear favorites to win that division. What were the odds preseason, dude? You probably could have got great juice on them.
Well, I was going to say, we haven't really talked about them yet, but the Bucs are also 2-0 in that division. Baker Mayfield and the Bucs also playing with a lot of swag right now.
Mayfield.
Yeah, that's very true.
Baker Mayfield might be MVP right now.
He had some runs today that were absolutely absurd. Baker Mayfield should not be moving the way he did.
Baker Mayfield's playing so well that people are calling Cleveland radio and like begging for this guy to go back to Cleveland, asking for, they want Deshaun Watson out of there. And they would take Baker Mayfield, who, oh, by the way, got ran out of town in Cleveland, and they're trying to welcome back open arms. That door is closed. Like they said on the radio, the only time he's coming back is to play you and probably beat you.
Dude, I saw prime MVP 2019-2020 Deshaun Watson go out there and beat my Jaguars today. The way he was able to escape the pressures and make throws downfield. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I would rather have Deshaun than Baker. I think Baker's earned the right to be higher up in the ranks there. But what I saw out of Deshaun today, Cleveland fans should have a little bit of hope. Of course, it was against my Jags. Maybe it's just the fact that my Jags let him have, the ability to look that good. But oh my gosh, dude, I can't believe what I saw today. Deshaun Watson looked back against my Jags, of course, of all teams.
Yeah, Jack, say you don't want to talk about the Jags, dude, but you are just bringing them up left, right, and center here, dude. We'll get to him, man. I promise. I got.
Go fuck yourself.
That's what this platform is for, right? This is for you to vent, and we're your buddies. This is a safe space. You're allowed to vent. There may be some other people listening, but
it's a safe space, man. We got your back.
Go Mets.
There we go.
Good.
You forgot the Lets, but I'll let it pass.
I don't know. You guys want to talk Giants football, or do you want to go right into the Jags? I'll let you decide, Jack.
Let's just talk about Giants football. I don't know if we really need to talk about Jags football.
Well, what a game that was.
Yeah.
Field goal, frenzy.
Well, it was a field goal frenzy, and the Giants apparently didn't have a healthy kicker, and they had to go for 2 every time they were up by 3, and that's probably what made them lose the game.
If they made the field goal, like, they would have won that game. Like, all they had to do was trot somebody out there to make a fucking extra point.
Yeah, I don't know why Dable thought like his punter couldn't make like a 35-yard field goal. Like, y'all can't do that. You guys don't have anybody else in case your one kicker gets hurt. Like, that just seems.
That's all they had to do was make an extra point. They kept missing 2-point conversions and keeping the game within 3 points.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw a stat that the Giants are the first team to score like 3 touchdowns, give up 0, and lose the game.
Yeah, so I don't think Daniel Jones threw an official interception today. He did throw one on one of those 2-point conversions.
Yeah, I did see that.
Brian, as the Giants super fan, who's this loss on? I don't think you can put it on Daniel Jones.
No, Daniel Jones played well.
Right.
Devin Singletary was running the ball well, too. We did have a fumble. I think it's got to be on Dable. You know your kicker's hurt. You got to bring up a backup kicker. But maybe he just wants to get fired at this point. I mean, it's a disaster.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because the Giants are 0-2. How much longer or how much shorter does this leash get on Brian Dable and, maybe the front office? I mean, this Joe Schoen or Joe Schmo, whoever the fuck the GM is.
Joe Schmo.
I mean, what has he done? There was all this, like, hyper optimism about, like, oh, we got these fucking, picking the Bills' pockets of these, like, genius guys who were bringing in the front office and the head coach, and there's a new culture around the Giants organization. They've been horrible.
Yeah. It's easy to forget they made the playoffs the first year of the new regime. But it's easy to forget that because it's
so fluky.
It may have been a fluke, but they did do it. But then you have to put out a product that's not completely terrible after that.
In the moment, making the playoffs as the fan base, sure, great. Going winning a game, sure, great. Them doing that set you guys back 5, 7, 10 years. You sign Daniel Jones and you keep Brian Dable around, who, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not impressed with him as a head coach.
Yeah.
And you just extended that leash by winning a playoff game on a team that you knew deep down is not a playoff team, not going to contend for a Super Bowl, and the list goes on.
Yeah, well, this might be a complete loser talk kind of coping spin zone here. You say it set him back 5 to 10 years, which is probably true, but that may have been a
10 might be
good,
a lot, but 5 years for sure.
it may have been a good thing. I don't know if they were going to do, you say the playoff run was a fluke. They have Daniel Jones at quarterback.
Yeah,
If
you signed him to a fat $50 million a year, fucking 4 or 5 year contract.
Yeah, and then you look at that and you
How is
kind of
that a good thing?
because you're kind of seeing how incompetent this regime is. And now you can kind of start over, which is something that the Maras hate to do. So now you're kind of forcing them to do that. If you have, if going back to your first question, if the Giants lose to Carolina and Germany, Brian Dable is fired, I think.
Have to
And
be. And I don't think that's going to happen, right? I mean, as bad as the Giants are, the Panthers are like that much worse.
yeah,
They're a different disaster in their own. But yeah, I mean, like if the Giants are, I don't know who they're not. When do they play Carolina? That's not next week,
it's
right?
like week 8. But my point
Okay.
is if they're really bad this year, it might finally be the last straw that breaks the camel's back, where you're like, all right, it's time to rebuild. We can't keep trying to transition like the Mets. We got to do a full rebuild. And that's something that the Giants might need to do. Now, it's a shame. Friend of the podcast, Tommy Capriotti, brought this up to me today. It's a shame this isn't happening next year when Archie Manning is in the draft. And you could get another Manning to be the helm of the New York Giants for the next 10 years. But
Wait,
I
so when
think,
April 2025 rolls around, Archie's not in that?
no,
So
well,
April 2026 he'll be in the draft?
yeah, he'll be a junior next year, I believe. I don't think he redshirted his first year. So he's a sophomore now, and he'll be a junior eligible for the draft. And Quinn Ewers will be gone. But the way it's going, the Giants might end up with Quinn Ewers, and the Panthers will probably end up with Shedeur Sanders, and that'll be another disaster.
Yeah, that would be a disaster. But yeah, Panthers, bottom of the NFL. Are the Giants the second worst team in the NFL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
I'm glad I didn't have to argue on that. Speaking of 0-2, let's go to Jacksonville.
Let's
Where
not.
they're
Let's
touted,
not.
where they're, almighty praise quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, not only is not able to pull out wins, but I mean, Jack, back-to-back weeks can't score 20 points.
Dude, no, that's the thing is it's the offense, right?
What's going on?
It's not necessarily it's the offensive coordinator, it's the play calling, it, it's the whole system, honestly. I'm upset with everybody to some degree right now. Like last week, Trevor played great. I shouldn't say great. He played good. The receivers didn't help him out. The play calling was ass. We couldn't get the run game going, and we kept going to it anyway. ETN fumbles. This week, Trevor, he missed. I remember like one just awful miss that he had, but outside of that, he didn't play terrible. Honestly, I think it's the play calling. The one time this game that we take a shot down the field, Brian Thomas connects on like a 80, 70 something yard pass, 60, 70 something, 80-yard pass. I mean, why are we not doing that almost every drive? I mean, this guy is incredible. We just used a first round pick on him. We need to be stretching the field like that. We can't get the run game going, dude. I'm so upset with the offense just overall. I don't think that the offense has any creativity. It's the play calling. It's what we decide to do. It always looks so complicated to do easy things, if that makes sense.
It does.
And
It makes a lot of
we
sense.
have the personnel to get these things done. Like people always want to bash on Trevor Lawrence. Like I said, he missed a throw today that was one of those throws that you just can't miss. But at the same time, you're allowed to miss one throw a game. Okay, you're allowed to. I'm not going to harp on you for that. It's the fact that some of these throws they should be easy throw and catches, timing routes. They just don't happen for us, and they need to happen. There's simple plays that need to happen.
Yeah, you know what that's called, dude? A bad football team.
A bad offense. It's not a bad football team, Matt.
Based on your
it's not a bad football team. It's a bad offense. The defense has held both of our opponents to 20 points or under through the first 2 weeks. That's pretty damn good. Your Eagles let Jordan Love score, 35 points or something like that? So chill with that. Chill with
1-0
that.
better
Not
than
a bad
2-0.
team or a bad offense.
I think 0-2 groups the team together. 0-2 is bad. But we won't get into that. We'll see what happens in week 3. I want to dive into it because it sounds like you're calling for Doug Peterson's head here. Is he on the hot seat? When, is he fired after next week they lose?
No.
Or is this a transition year for the Jaguars?
Bro, see, I'm not going to get into transition years and all that. But, see, the thing is like, I like Doug. I like Doug a lot. I think the players really like him too. So I don't want to see him go. But he's like our Dan Campbell. You know what I mean? And we need that Ben, what's his name? Ben Johnson, that OC out there in Detroit.
Wait. In what ways is Doug Peterson like Dan Campbell?
Our players fucking love him. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I
That's
feel
all I'm
like
saying.
that can be said for like 25 coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, you're probably right, but not for all of them. Zach Taylor, Sean Payton, Bill Belichick, those weren't locker room guys, okay? So it's not like every coach is like that. Let me have my takes, Brian.
You can have them. It may not be right, but you can have them.
Look, he's one of those coaches that the team rallies behind, that the team loves and respects. So I don't want to see him gone, but we need an OC who has a fresh OC who has something going, because Press Taylor is not it. Period.
Yeah, he was a guy on the Eagles. I think he was like our QB coach. Followed Dougie P down there to Jacksonville, and yeah, I mean, dude, it's more like, if not Doug Peterson, then who? I mean, who are you going to throw in there? I think you kind of just got to roll out with them and get it going. But trouble
Bill
in
Belichick.
Duval. Belichick did say he wants to return to coaching. That could be the difference that you guys need. And I'm being serious when I say that. I mean,
That'd be
could
pretty
create
cool.
some culture, could create a winning culture, which, again, not ripping on you guys, but you haven't had that.
Nope, not in a little while. That's for damn sure.
So this is maybe a guy who actually rejuvenates and just re-energizes and, builds that winning culture.
I'm still trying to get over the fact they renamed Everbank Stadium to TrevorBank Stadium, and Trevor Lawrence went out there and went 14 for 30. Like,
yeah, as soon as I saw that, I knew that was a bad omen.
Yeah,
who thought that was a good idea?
No, it's ridiculous that you think that that's a good idea after losing that week 1 to Miami. If we won week 1 against Miami, and then you want to go do that, all right, that builds so that's cool. We're building momentum, whatever. We lost against Miami. Like, why are we hyping up Trevor? He didn't play great at all. Like, he had a good throw. He played good, but he didn't play great. He didn't will us to a win like he's supposed to.
No, but the defense played good.
Yeah, they did. They held Miami to 20 points. Like, that's a very high-powered offense that they held to 20 points. And then this week, Deshaun Watson, no one's giving him a whole lot of credit right now, like, as they probably shouldn't. Unless you really watch that game, he looked pretty good. But 18 points. The Jags held the Browns to 18 points. Like, that's anytime you hold a team to 18 points in the NFL, you probably win the football game.
I mean, the Browns have their own issues.
So does Deshaun Watson.
Like, they just got blown out by the Cowboys at home. And then Cleveland travels down there.
Did you guys see the Browns tweet, "Happy birthday, Deshaun Watson"? And all the replies.
No.
It's probably the most toxic thread on Twitter I've ever seen.
Yo, Nico Collins just made a stupid catch.
Also, the Dodgers just went up 7-2 in the 9th inning. So shout out Dodgers after I yell at you. The Mets are still alive.
We're going off track here. We'll jump into an off track game. Seahawks, Patriots. Are the Patriots good?
He didn't get the 2 feet down.
The Patriots might be good.
I mean, they should have won that game today. I gotta be honest. Did you guys? I didn't watch a lot of this game. I just saw it was close, neck and neck the whole time, and the Seahawks found a way to get the dub at the end.
Well, I think we might be seeing a change in guards of the NFL coaching hires as we get into the 2020s here. We just brought up Doug Peterson. We saw a lot of hires of the offensive kind of gifted offensive coordinators, and they haven't really worked out. Last season, we saw DeMeco Ryans win Coach of the Year, and now Gerard Mayo is leading his Patriots to, it's 1-1, but it could very well be 2-0. Maybe the defensive guys are where you should be going.
Yeah, no, the Patriots are definitely impressing to start this season. They lost in overtime. This was a very winnable game for them. Honestly, it wouldn't even have been this close if they didn't have a couple mishaps. You guys saw that DK Metcalf touchdown. That was just complete blown coverage. If someone's covering him on that, you keep him in front of you like they did for most of this game. Patriots, they could have won this game, no doubt about it. I don't think they're a good football team. I'm not going to go that far, but they're not bottom 3, bottom 5 like I thought they were coming into the season.
Yeah, and
they were supposed to be right there with the Panthers on, 2 worst teams.
They were supposed to be worse than the Giants.
Yeah.
I know they lost too, but I'm actually going to give out my first ever one shining moment of the week here to Patriots running back Antonio Gibson. 96 rushing yards. Antonio Gibson is still in the NFL, and he's still playing well. 96 rushing yards in this game, and they needed all 96 of them.
Did Ramondre Stevenson score today?
He did. He ran for 81 and a touchdown. What'd you say, 13?
Getting closer and closer to my prediction, Brian.
I didn't hate it when you made it.
No,
I said it would be tough. I said it would be tough.
I would probably hate it on it pretty tough.
Jack hated it.
One of you two hated it.
Jack hated it. I said I like Stevenson, but it would be tough with the Patriots.
Getting closer and closer week by week.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spend too much time on that. It still is even if the Patriots are good, what a boring team, man.
Yeah, very boring. That's how they got to win. That's how they're going to win football games. Just make them boring.
It's not fun to watch. I don't care,
Just like the Steelers.
Boring.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, by the way, 16 targets. So if he's somehow out on your fantasy waiver wire, or if someone wants to make a trade for him, might want to go out and grab him.
Yeah, 16 targets a lot. Again, take into account the game went to overtime, couple extra possessions in there, but 16 is still 16. It's a lot.
It's a lot of targets.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, we'll see. Seahawks, new head coach, 2-0, have a lot of weapons on offense. NFC West is loaded, man.
Yes, it is.
Not really, though, because the 49ers suck now. But speaking of a team that sucks, the Carolina Panthers smoked in their home opener. Chargers come all the way across country to play a 1:00 game. Spread was 4.5. What a joke. 26-3. Yeah, I don't really need to spend much time on this. This should be probably Panthers legitimately might go 0-17.
There's a very decent shot. I don't want to spend too much time on this either. The Chargers, for lack of better terms, had their way with the Panthers, did whatever they want to them, and the final score was 26-3. They just took them to town.
All aboard the Gus bus. Jack, you were making fun of me when I sent you the rushing over for Gus Edwards, but he got there.
Well, you want to know what? He did get there, and I'll give you credit for that. But the reason is because I'm telling you, J.K. Dobbins is the feature back here. And what did he do today? 17 carries, 131 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Just another back-to-back insane week. Insane weeks for J.K. Dobbins. I don't know if he's leading the league in rushing, but he might be. Him or Jordan Mason at this point.
Yeah, it's got to be Dobbins. That's what do you have, 120 in week 1? No, 130 week 2?
Yeah, I think Jordan Mason had 150 last week and 100 this week.
So they're probably right there. Who would have thought 2 weeks in J.K. Dobbins and Jordan Mason?
Hey, how about Brian Robinson too? He's been putting up numbers too.
Many men.
How do you not get a touchdown today, man, with that stat line?
He was close a couple times.
I know.
17 for 133, no tud.
Get him in the end zone, man. Guy's balling. But before we jump off this game, we've now seen a full year, couple games, and there's pieces there. Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, not crazy weapons, but there's pieces. Is Bryce Young a bust? Can we come out and say that 100% the guy's a bust? I don't know
Yeah,
that there's much more of a sample size to watch.
he went to Alabama. He's a bust.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
mean,
give us a serious take, Brian.
Well,
I'm not letting you run off with that.
well, that's, I mean, part of it, but yeah, he's not good at football. He holds the ball for too long. I know people always say short quarterbacks don't do well, and Kyler Murray's kind of the exception to the rule there, but he's too short to see over his offensive line, and he's not good.
yeah. Honestly, he just needs to he needs to change the way he plays. The quarterback position in the NFL. You watch Kyler. Kyler is very good at making those first throws, first read throws, but at the same time, he's so good at actually being able to escape, buy time, and then be able to make the throw. That's something that Bryce needs to work on. You can't just sit in the pocket for 6 seconds and expect for it to work out. Even though you've spent a couple first round picks, the Panthers have on offensive linemen in recent years, you can't sit there for 6 seconds in the NFL. It doesn't work that way. You need to go out. You need to make your own pocket and make plays downfield. I think he's a bust. He hasn't been able to show it yet. Maybe he gets benched, traded to another team, Justin Fields situation, and shows us something later on in his career. But I don't think it's working out with the Panthers anytime soon.
I was going to say they need to move on. Maybe go get a fresh start elsewhere. But yeah, worst team in the NFL. No need to harp on that. Nice start for the Chargers, who I think 2-0, right? So nice start to the Charger Jim Harbaugh era there in LA. But yeah, a fun one here. Colts travel to Lambeau to take on the Packers, who, oh, by the way, are now their last 12 home openers. They're 12-0. So everybody, I think, was all over the Colts. I know new member Austin Lees threw out Colts plus 2.5. No Jordan Love, Malik Willis out there. But not only did the Packers win, I think they won as underdogs. I know I might have messed up that terminology in the beginning there, but was it Packers?
The Colts were favored. The Colts were
Colts
favored.
for 2.5.
Okay. So the Colts were favored. Packers home dogs, no Jordan Love. Outright winner. 12-0 in their last 12 home openers.
I got in my own head in fantasy drafts this season because every take I give out on the show seems to be wrong. So I was like, okay, well, maybe Anthony Richardson is going to be the MVP of the league since I'm so down on him this year. And he showed me why I was so down on him in this game. He threw 3 picks. The third one was a Hail Mary, so that doesn't count. But he couldn't hit any receivers, anything. It was not good at all.
Yeah, you used a lot of draft capital on him, Brian.
Yep.
And picked him very early.
Yeah, look, the running ability for fantasy football, quarterback points, it's definitely gonna help you more often than not. But when he throws the ball like this, I mean, this is the worry with Richardson. He hasn't been able to throw the easy throws, the short, the medium throws. He's able to bomb the ball, but when you're not able to connect with Alec Pierce down the field like that, the stats don't show. You end up throwing interceptions. This game for me, though, it wasn't necessarily about the Colts offense, even though Richardson had the picks. It was about their defense, dude. Like they can't stop anything. I honestly, after seeing Joe Mixon tear them up, 30 carries for 100 plus yards, and then Josh Jacobs do it again this week, 30 carries, 100 plus yards. The Colts defense needs to learn how to stop the run before we really give Anthony Richardson a hard time for throwing interceptions and trying to play hero ball.
And he's still young, right? What, 22, 23? I mean, I know he got drafted super early, so there's time for him to develop.
This was his 4th complete NFL game.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Young.
Yeah.
Do we think Malik Willis is going to be anything?
No. I mean,
he might be able to have them staying afloat.
Yeah, I mean, you can win games like this at home when you're gonna play good defense, run the ball. Josh Jacobs getting 32 carries, 151 rushing yards. If Josh Jacobs can give you that on the ground and your defense can hold the other team to 10 points, yeah, Malik Willis can win you some football games.
Malik Willis I know his talent may not be there, but at least he sounds like an NFL quarterback. Like the name Malik Willis, you would think like, oh, that guy can win some games. So maybe he can do that.
Is Malik Willis just going to be a, you know, glorified Jacoby Brissett?
I would take Jacoby Brissett over Malik Willis.
Ooh, see, I don't know where you would rank Jacoby. Jacoby Brissett is an enigma in himself because he's a
Yeah,
guy that can get you a few wins, but he's not gonna win you playoff games. But
Which is exactly what Malik Willis kind of looks like right now.
yeah,
Malik Willis is like he's a dynamo. He's like they have very opposite play styles if you ask me. Like Malik Willis is closer to an Anthony Richardson, and Jacoby
so
Brissett is closer to like a just like a game manager. Like
yeah, could Malik Willis be like the Kyler Murray of Jacoby Brissett's?
I think, yeah, that's like trying to connect it together. But yeah, because it's true, right? Malik Willis obviously way more athletic than Jacoby Brissett. But like you said, Brian, Willis be able to go out there, keep you afloat while the star quarterback's getting hurt.
Oh, I got it. I got it. I got it. I
Getting
got
back
it.
healthy.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Malik Willis is, I think he can be the Jacoby Brissett of Daniel Jones's.
I think I like the other one better.
no, I like the Daniel Jones reference.
He feels like the same kind of player as Daniel Jones,
He's
but
he's
he can
yeah,
be
he's
like,
more athletic than Jacoby Brissett. But like you said, he's win a couple games while the star quarterback is
I
getting
think
healthy. Not going to win the playoff game. Definitely not winning a Super Bowl.
I think I got it. I think he's the Anthony Richardson of Daniel Jones's.
Let us know in the comments below what you think.
yeah, we're gonna need, please, we need to just get like 5 of them and just go through them all
Malik
and find out.
Willis. Malik Willis is the Anthony Richardson of Daniel Jones's. I said what I said.
Well, they got the win up in Lambeau today, and the Packers get a nice bounce back win after taking the L to the Philadelphia Eagles down there in Brazil. But as we roll through the 1 o'clock slate here, the New York Jets travel down to Tennessee, down to Nashville. Some call it Auburn North. To take
I
on
like that poll.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.
to take on the Nashville Tennessee Titans, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I like the Titans in this one. Again, another close game for them. They're 0-2, but they're not a bad team. I like their head coach, which brings great energy, just always looks fired up on the sideline. A young Mike Vrabel is kind of what he is. Mike Vrabel maybe didn't have all the energy that this guy does, but they kind of remind me some similarities there. But yeah, the Jets get it done. Didn't look good to start. I mean, the Titans had a chance to win this game. Aaron Rodgers just kind of proven he's obviously a little bit better than Will Levis. But again, the Jets are the Jets, man. They didn't blow this one wide open. They didn't blow them out. I'm still not sold on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets.
Yeah, before I get into analyzing this game, Robert Salah, Robert Salad, whatever your name is, you don't need to put olives in your salads too. Just give it to Breece Hall. We don't need to see Braylon Allen on the field. Let Breece Hall get his touchdowns. Braylon Allen scored twice today. But yeah, the Jets gave me a heart attack. They were my survivor pool pick, and thank God they got it done. Ooh, Aaron Rodgers did not look great.
No, that's why I said I'm not sold on Rodgers and the Jets.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I still think that with Nathaniel Hackett as your head coach, or excuse me, as your offensive coordinator, your offense is going to be pretty bleak. But having said that, putting up 24 points against the Titans, I think that's pretty respectable, especially with how bad Aaron Rodgers and the Jets looked last week. This week they looked a little bit better. I mean, I know you guys aren't convinced yet, but with their next 2 games against the Patriots and the Broncos, I think that's the perfect sort of situation to get right. And they could easily go 3-0, over these last, the next 3 games.
Is the Patriots game in Foxborough?
Let me check that real quick.
Or is that a Jet Life game?
While you're checking that,
It's a Jet Life game. They've got their next 4 games. The Jets have their next 4 games at home: Patriots, Broncos, Vikings, and Bills.
some winnable games.
So Sam Darnold will have a revenge game coming back to Jet Life. Wow, that's funny. Wait, that says 9:30. Is that overseas? Oh, it's a London game. The Jets and the Vikings play
Oh,
in
that's a
London.
shame.
That's a shame, dude. That was gonna be
It's still a revenge
a
game, but
MetLife game.
can you even have a revenge game overseas? I feel like Londoners are too nice to think about revenge.
Yeah, I mean, between the players, everybody knows what's going on, but you know, that's
Yeah.
about it.
It was a Jamal Adams revenge game in this one. He had one tackle.
Nice.
He's so washed.
He is so washed. I'm surprised he even played today. I thought he was still going to be out injured. But yeah, I mean, before we jump off of this game, Brian, you drafted Brees Hall, #2 overall in fantasy. Are you concerned? That's very high draft capital to pick somebody who now is in a platoon in the running back room?
No, it's not a platoon. Braylon Allen had just had 2 long touchdowns.
I don't know, dude.
Brees Hall put up 20 points today in 0.69 PPR, so I imagine it was like 24, 25 in full PPR. He'll be fine.
Splitting carries. That's second overall pick for a running back that splits carries. Dicey. Yikes.
Listen, my fantasy team has much bigger worries than Brees Hall's committee in New York.
True that. The final 2 games of the 1 o'clock slate were a bit of a surprise. Definitely one a little more surprising than the other, but both a surprise. Buccaneers traveling to Detroit, taking on the Lions, and getting revenge after that playoff defeat last year. Baker goes in there and gets a job done. 20-16 final. I didn't watch much of this game. I know Chris Godwin talking about turning back the years for Kamara. Turned back the years and had a nice day. I think well over 100 yards, 8 catches, touchdown, and Bucs are 2-0. Just knocked off the co-runner-ups or the runner-ups in the NFC last year, and we all in on the Bucs.
I'm in on them for now, man. Baker keeps this up. I mean, we were just talking about it earlier. The Bucs and the Bucs, the Vikings, and the Saints are all very similar teams right now. 2-0, propelled by good defenses. Their quarterbacks are playing well and playing swaggy. I mean, as long as Baker keeps playing swaggy, I'm riding. I'm riding. I think what he's doing last week it was Mike Evans. This week it was Chris Godwin. I mean, they're putting up numbers. They really are, and they're looking impressive doing it. The Lions are no joke of a team. Shout out Baker and the Bucs.
Yeah, the Auburn Bucks. I know they lost Carlton Davis, who this was a revenge game for him, by the way. But yeah, just a weird score here. Baker Mayfield balled out, and the Bucks in a wide open. I say wide open, but now the Saints are 2-0, and the Falcons have high expectations. But the NFC South might be entertaining this year.
Well, we all know the Falcons are going 0-2. This is the Saints and the Bucs division. I mean, this is like we're going to see both of them battled out all year. One of those 2 teams is winning this division. I'm out on the Falcons. They're done. 0-2. They're cooked.
Even if they lose tomorrow night, or I guess when people listen to this tonight, even if they lose tonight to the Eagles, which I do expect them to lose, and start 0-2, it's 2 games. 2 games. They got 15 more. It's a long season.
Long season, but 0-2 starts. There's some statistic out there that when you start out 0-2, it's not good.
Yeah, maybe 0-3 because they get the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football in Week 3.
Ooh.
Yeah. Do people not look at their schedule like preseason and they had all these high expectations on the Falcons? Brian, I know you, for one, were super optimistic. You were loving the moves mid-training camp that the GM was making. I know I said that the guy has no idea what's going on, but 0-2 and could be, I know, not 0-2. They got to play the Eagles tonight, but play the Chiefs to follow up. I mean, 0-3. Did you look at this schedule before you said you love them and Kirk Cousins this and they're going to be amazing?
Yeah, I did because I expected them to beat the Steelers at home in Week 1. And they do finish the season against Raiders, Vikings, Giants, Commanders, and Panthers. So they should finish the
After what we've
season
seen from the
4-1 or
Vikings,
5-0.
after what we've seen for the Vikings, that's going to be a tough game.
Well, yeah, after what we've seen, and they also get the Broncos in that towards the end as well. But at preseason, we're talking. So we didn't expect the Vikings to be a good team. I don't know. The Falcons just might not. They may finish 500.
Yeah. And the Saints and the Bucs, as of right now, both could be 10-win teams.
Yeah.
Certainly trending that way. I mean,
yeah, I know.
I'm had the Saints as what, a 7-win team this year?
Dude,
8-win team?
Look, I'm still not convinced that Derek Carr is going to keep this up. Like, if you want to put a gun to my head, I'm picking Baker Mayfield over Derek Carr. I'm picking Baker Mayfield over Sam Darnold to keep up this level of play. I still think that at some point Darnold will fold. I still think Carr will fold. Baker's the only one I think that actually could keep this up for, as you said, a 12-win season.
Dude, this might just be one of those things where it's like, you see it all the time where it's just like, you're just waiting week in and week out. Like, all right, they're going to fold. They're going to fold. Something's going to, and then we get like, to Christmas and it's like, holy shit, these guys are good and the teams are good.
But also,
and the fall off never happens.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But also, you see teams start 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, 8-2 even, and just absolutely collapse in the back half of the season. And I could see Derek Carr doing that very easily.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. We might see kind of a metaphor for both of these cities here, with the Saints falling off at the end. And Florida, you always think they're going to fall off, but you see all these stories about Florida, man. But for some reason, all the retired people still move there, and Florida's thriving. So I think we see the Bucs take it home.
Yeah, and the Lions. Concerned? Are we pressing the panic button in Detroit? What's going on there?
Honestly, I just think the Bucs wanted this one a little bit more. There were a couple. Well, I say that everybody wants it, but at the same time, I just think that they wanted this one. After what happened in the playoffs last year, the Lions had a couple issues here and there. Amon-Ra had like an injury scare at one point. Goff threw a couple picks. I don't know, man. I think this was one of those games that honestly just didn't bounce their way. I'm not worried about them at all.
Yeah. Call it a trap game, a hangover game, but they just had the Rams on Sunday Night Football to open the season. I think a lot of emotion went into that, and then maybe they just came out flat. 16 points. Is what it is.
So we're not panicking yet.
Now, if they're behind the Packers in the North after Malik Willis leads the Packers to like a 3-0 record without Jordan Love, then maybe there's cause for concern there.
Something to keep an eye on as we get to week 3. But yeah, final game of the 1:00 slate. Had them as my favorite of the day to cover 8.5 points. And it's going to be my spilled beer of the week because the Ravens upset at home, lose to the Las Vegas Raiders 26-23. If you guys remember when we did this preseason divisional preview, one of my questions was, what does the Ravens record look like after the first 5 games? And I don't think we had 0-2 predicted. We had 4-1, 3-2 at worst. Well, holy shit, Brian. They already got the 2 losses.
Yeah, we did say the Raiders would give them a good fight, but I think we were thinking like it would be close and then they'd pull away at the end. We weren't thinking the Raiders would be sitting here.
But that was supposed to be considered their, easy win. Probably get that one done. I think they have the Cowboys coming up, which I know looked disastrous today, but again, that'll be a tough game too. And what else? I know they might have another tough game in there as well, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I think we were all sitting there believing the Ravens with 15 seconds left were going to have 2 bulk plays, and then Justin Tucker was going to hit a 67-yard field goal, and the Ravens would somehow squeak this one out. But the Raiders avoid disaster. They would have been on the wrong side of history, the first team to ever lose to head coaches that were brothers in back-to-back weeks.
Interesting.
That would have been a tough look, dude. I mean, I understand. Yeah, this was a bad bet for Matt. Spilled beer of the week for him. This was honestly a shining moment for me. Seeing the Raiders pull this one out, I was preseason pretty high on them, on Gardner Minshew being a step up from the quarterback play that Devontae Adams and this team had last year that almost made Devontae Adams like rage quit out of the NFL. But like, look, it wasn't pretty, especially to start. But as the game kept going, the Raiders sort of found their groove. And shout out Daniel Carlson for getting the deal done. War Eagle. He outplayed Justin Tucker in this one, which is something that doesn't happen all too often from the kicker position from Justin Tucker. I'm very impressed with the Raiders. Happy to see that the week one was week one that loss against the Chargers. The Chargers are 2-0. Very competitive team right now. I'm feeling a little bit better about the Raiders after this win against the Ravens. They're going to be a competitive team week in and week out, which is what I expected and definitely doubted after that Chargers loss.
Brock Bowers too. He looks very good.
I mean,
very good.
We knew he was good at Georgia. We knew he tore that shit up. I mean, we knew it would happen in the NFL at some point. I don't know if we all expected it to be, from the ground running. But yeah, through 2 weeks, he might be leading all tight ends in catches at this point.
He's got to be. The tight end position has been terrible. And I guess that just shows the passing in the NFL has been terrible. But
yeah, it has.
The one bright star.
Yeah, dude, I had Bowers on my tight end short list. I thought I was going to be able to get him in our league, Brian. I thought he was going to fall tremendously, but I think somebody ended up taking him early or kind of early. I don't remember, but I know I didn't get him. I had him on my short list. No worries, though. I got TJ Hawkinson. Reports came out that he might be back week 6, which I think they were saying like week 8 or 9 for him. So him coming back week 6, huge. But that's –
I pulled it up real quick. Got to give a shout out to Brock Bowers. He's leading all tight ends in targets, receptions, and yards. 17 targets, 15 catches, 156 yards through 2 games in his NFL career.
Tight end 1.
And I wish Theo Johnson was putting up those numbers, but
needs a quarterback to get him the ball.
Yeah.
But that's the 1 o'clock slate. That was a lot of games, dude.
10 of them.
1 o'clock. Short window here for the 4 o'clock, 4:25s. And we jump into, like we're talking about, loaded NFC West, where the Rams take on the Cardinals. And yeah, pure offensive clinic. The Maserati and Marvin Harrison Jr. gets going, finally gets 2 touchdowns, only 4 catches, but over 100 yards and 2 TDs. Kyler Murray looking like an MVP candidate. And shit, we had this as the worst defense. Defense showed up today. Yeah, I was very high on the Cardinals in August, preseason. And it's kind of, this is exactly how I anticipated. I think Kyler Murray is going to flourish, not only today as he did, but for the rest of the year.
Yeah, this is unfortunately the same story for the Rams as it was last year to start the season with the injuries. I mean, 2 offensive linemen hurt for the Rams. Puka Nacua is hitting IR. Cooper Kupp got banged up in this game, didn't return at one point. As much as the Cardinals defense showed up, the Rams offense is already playing with the reserves here, and it's so tough for Matt Stafford, for Kyren, for McVay, honestly. And McVay's a great coach, but when you're missing all these key pieces on your offense, it's going to be a tough time. I'm not taking away from Marv, from Kyler, from the Cardinals. They have been playing great. I know they lost week 1 of the Bills, but this was an impressive game. Welcome to the fucking league, Marvin Harrison Jr. What a day.
Yeah, his most impressive catch might have not even been a touchdown. He had the back shoulder one-handed grab when he was getting completely covered for a first down. But my spilled beer of the week is going to go to these Rams. For a lot of the reasons you said, Cooper Kupp in a walking boot, Puka Nacua's on IR. It's a tough look out in LA. It's supposed to be a team. A lot of people have this as a sneaky Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
And it's looking like they might not even be a playoff team.
Well, To be fair, this is exactly what we saw last year with the injuries early on in the season. And then, they started getting healthy. They ended up making the playoffs, and, they didn't really come together to make a run in the playoffs, but they made it there, which was surprising enough, and people thought they would. So I could see that happening again this year, but this is tough, man. You can't do much with injured players.
Cardinals might be good.
They are
Cardinals,
good,
they
Brian.
are good. They are good.
We went over this in the preseason. I think you told me that the Cardinals were going to finish last in that division. That's I think what it was. Is you said
Yeah,
the Cardinals are finishing last in that division.
they
One and
still
one,
could.
1-1 should be 2-0. They should have beat the Bills in week one. Not the way I expected this to go. Well, for the Cardinals, yes, but I didn't expect the Rams to be this poor so far.
Yeah,
The Seahawks are 2-0. I mean, you were high on the Seahawks. I was not as high as them. I know they haven't played anybody that tough. Broncos and Patriots first 2 weeks. We'll see
well,
when
yeah,
that gets tougher.
but you're seeing the Ravens lose to the Raiders, the Lions lose to the Bucs. You're seeing it, like I said to Jack, everyone gets paid to play.
Everybody gets paid to play. Damn right. And we'll see if Kyler can keep it going. Is it all going to fall apart when Call of Duty comes out in 2 months?
Whenever double XP weekend hits.
Is that the downfall of the Arizona Cardinals? They're going to have this huge vertical rise and just shit hits the fan when Kyler goes on a weekend Call of Duty bender.
Double XP weekend, season 2 drops, some new camo comes out. He's got to grind for.
Keep a close eye on that.
You might have to hack his account. DDoS
I
him.
might. But let's jump into the other game. Probably the game of the weekend so far, or at least that's what they had circled on paper. The Bengals travel to Kansas City, Burrow versus Mahomes, Bengals, Chiefs. Do I need to dress this up any more than I just did with the quarterbacks? I mean, this was a game the Bengals really wanted to win. You saw the emotion at the end of the game. Joe Burrow slamming shit on the sideline. Not sure if that's good for his wrist injury, but doing it anyway. And some help from the refs for the Kansas City Chiefs, as expected. But the Chiefs get it done, and the Bengals 0-2. Yeah, Jack, Brian, your guys' thoughts watching this one?
This goes back to, sorry to cut you off, Jack, but this always goes back to that NFL coaches need to just hire a professional Madden player to make sure they know the clock management. The Bengals didn't have any timeouts at the end of the game. They had the PI, sure, but you just hand them the game when you can't stop the clock. Why do you have no timeouts in the second half of a football game?
It's mind-boggling how they just burn timeouts. Like first quarter, the most infuriating is third quarter, 10 minutes left, burn a timeout. Yeah. I mean, I know we're watching on TV, and there's a lot of moving pieces that need to go on the field in terms of subbing different personnel and positions and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's inexcusable.
Yeah, I see it so often now, third down in the red zone, you're going to call a timeout because it's a really big play. Sure it is, but you need those timeouts later in the game. I'd rather take the 5 yards and try a harder, 3rd and 12, versus having to burn one of those timeouts that you so preciously need for 40 seconds later in the game. 40 seconds is so much time late in the game.
There's got to be so many college sports management majors that would kill for an unpaid internship to just sit there with a clipboard to yell at the coach, take the delay game. We need to run a play. Don't take a timeout here. That's all you have to do. And it's ridiculous. I don't know the exact analytics on it, but it's got to be 30% of these games in the NFL come down to your defense needing a stop to get the ball back with under 2 minutes left. And there's so many times where you see 1 timeout, 2 timeouts. What are we doing? Horrible.
Yeah. Joey Burrow, though, kind of bounced back. 258, 2 touchdowns, looked more like himself. But, again, got laughed off the pod for taking under 35.5 on Joe Burrow's touchdowns this year. It's looking pretty nice, Bry.
It is looking nice. I'm definitely. I was over on that. I think I was over on that.
You
I
were
was,
over it. Brian was way over.
I took
yeah,
50.
I was expecting him to come in and be healthy, but I don't think he's healthy. Even though he threw for what was the number today, 258 and 2 touchdowns. I still don't think he looks like the Joe Burrow we know and love. And I also just don't. I get that it was a game against the Chiefs. But I don't like the way that he was running the football today. I mean, it's just stupid. You're coming off of however many injuries, and you're going to run the football like that just to pick up a couple yards, a first down here or there in a regular season game. It's not worth it, bro.
Yeah, he needs T. Higgins back. And the Bengals always start slow, and they always do this to themselves, and they have to try to run the table at the end. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. But they just need to figure out how to start the season well.
That's all it is.
It's almost like they need to operate like a college football team and just try to get Goodell to schedule them cupcakes in the first couple of weeks.
Pressing the panic button in Cincinnati.
If they go 0-3.
I'm already pressing it. Yes. Yes.
They get the Commanders and Panthers in the next 2 weeks. They can write the ship.
Yeah, you can go 2-2, but I don't know.
They're going to break the ship week 1 against the Patriots. Look how that turned out, Brian.
It's totally dependent on Burrow's health, and I have serious concerns about it.
They'll beat the Panthers. I mean, dude, the Panthers are going 0-17.
Yeah. If you look at this, so I always say they'd have to turn it on at the end, but you got the Commanders, Panthers, then you have the Ravens, so we'll call that a loss. Then you get the Giants and the Browns and the Eagles. So let's say they're 4-4 after that. Then you get the Raiders, we'll call it a win. Ravens loss. Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos, Steelers to end the season. I think they can win 2 more of those and they lose and finish 2 games above 500, which is probably good enough for the playoffs. So on paper, they should be a playoff team, I think.
Yeah, still early. We'll see if they get bounce back, get 2 wins, and then get back to 500 quickly. But probably the shit game of the week. I don't know how to dress this one up. I think when Jack and I did the show last week, I said I was like, I don't care that the over-under is 35.5. I want the under. Steelers take on the Broncos. Brian, well, you're making like crazy faces, man. What's going on?
I got it. Malik Willis is the Justin Fields of Jacoby Brissett. As we get to Justin Fields in this game, he played well.
He played well. And look, again, I now that you just said that, I mean, he kind of just had to be a game manager in this game, right? I mean, they went 13-6.
He is the Justin Fields of Daniel Jones's.
Malik Willis.
Yeah. Malik Willis is the Justin Fields of Daniel Jones's.
Yeah, I think we finally figured it out. It only took a show. That's fine. We had to talk it out. We talked out the slate. And we nailed down our Malik Willis, and we figured out our Malik Willis comparison. But yeah, to your point, right? Justin Fields, athletic, was a good game manager. They won 13-6. They did pretty much the same thing last week, and they're 2-0, heading to Pittsburgh to play in week 3. I mean, they got to be home week 3. They just first 2 games on the road start out 2-0. That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, they get to host the Chargers next week.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, this game somehow, of all the games on the slate today, like this is the game that I sort of actually got right. I pretty much missed everything except for this game. But Najee Harris did his job, churning out 69 yards on the ground, hitting that over my prop of the week. Gotta love that. But I think the biggest story here is honestly just the fact that Justin Fields, as Matt said, controlled the game and didn't make mistakes, made plays when he needed to, picked up some yards on the ground, 8 carries for 27 yards, and threw the ball pretty well too, 13 for 20. Not a crazy stat line, but for Justin Fields, that ain't too bad. That's better than Anthony Richardson numbers for sure.
It
Yeah.
definitely is. And all they have to do is get the win. You're playing the lousy Broncos. You don't need to do much to get the win. You just need to execute.
Yeah, dude, Chris Boswell might win MVP if the Steelers keep winning football games. Because the only person on their team with a touchdown right now is Darnell Washington, the old tight end out of, well, I shouldn't say old, but the tight end out of Georgia that's like 6'9".
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the only person on this Steelers team that has scored a touchdown, and they're 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, we love to poke fun. Arthur Smith may be the guy that catches the most strays on this show from us, but he might be the perfect hire for these Pittsburgh Steelers.
He might be, and I hate it.
He gets the Desmond Ritter that's just better than Desmond Ritter and Justin Fields now, and he gets a good defense to just kind of be great with his offense that takes forever to drive down the field. I don't know. Tomlin and Arthur Smith may make something happen.
Sometimes you just need to change the scenery, Brian. But speaking, I know we're kind of getting to the end of the slate here. Sunday night football going on. So I think it's 16-10 right now in the third quarter as we're recording. So we won't really be able to react to much there, as obviously we're recording this as the game's going on, but doesn't look like Caleb Williams and the Bears offense is doing anything special. But to the Steelers and Broncos, we just talked about timeouts, and I don't know when the Broncos burned theirs. All I know is they got the 2-minute warning. Steelers had the ball for, first and 10 or whatever it was, like a minute 55 left. The Broncos had one timeout left in the fourth quarter. I mean, it's just Sean Payton. Think a guy who'd be able to manage his timeouts. I mean, if they had 3 timeouts, they would have got the ball back with like well over a minute and a half. Instead, they get the ball back with 30 seconds.
I think it was less. Wasn't it like
it was way less, 30 seconds or less, I think, as Scott Hansen said on Red Zone. But yeah, another poor timeout management, as we just discussed.
It's an epidemic, and I think we found a way to hire the college interns. Those sports management interns all they're doing is playing beard eye out there. They would love to be on an NFL sideline.
Yeah. So Monday Night Football, Eagles home opener. Link's going to be rocking. I don't even know why I'm entertaining this, but Brian, you did it last year. One of them hit, I think, when Kyler Murray came.
1-13.
1-13. We kick it off. Maybe you gave one last week. I don't know, but you didn't watch week 1. You finally can watch week 2. The anti-Eagles parlay from Mr. New York, Brian Houck himself.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back, and I may offend the whole rap culture of Atlanta with this one, but just know this is to the tune of Bad and Bougie. Kirk Cousins sucks in primetime. Hey, that's okay, though. Why? The Falcons are getting the win. Why? Bijan scoring 2 tutties. Hey, 90 rushing yards. Hey, Drake London going for 60. Kirk Cousins throwing 1 touchdown. Falcons money line. Hey.
What are the odds on that?
You got to be pretty high.
Oh, my Lord.
Wow.
Yeah, if you want to donate, I'd probably recommend just going to your local charity, giving your money to them for a better cause. Feel a lot better than yourself, because that is a straight donation that Brian just – I don't care that he tried to hype it up with a Migos song behind it. That is a straight donation.
Yeah, so we have Bijan 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, Kirk Cousins a touchdown, and Drake London 60 yards, and Falcons money line.
Brian's going to post it on our socials. Anti-Eagles parlay, and then small parentheses, proceed at your own risk.
Yep. And by the way, if you want to look at all of our best bets for the game tomorrow, the roundtable for Monday Night Football will be live at 4 p.m. Eastern time on Monday.
We've been pretty hot with the roundtables, although Brian and I picked the winner. Jack and Myers picked the Dolphins, but I specifically want to look in on Myers because he goes Dolphins in a rout. And that just was not a route. So Myers.
Well, it was a route. It was just
it
was a route for the other team.
It was a route for the other team, that's for sure. But yeah, Jack, I think you just got overhyped because the Dolphins knocked off the Jags in week 1. Bills struggled against the Cardinals. I think that's probably the angle you took there. But yeah, dude, it's Buffalo South in Miami. They came down there, Josh Allen ready to go, and they got the job done.
Yeah, it was definitely an over-exaggeration after they beat my Jags, thinking my Jags were a really good football team, and the Dolphins came back in a nice fashion. No, dude, my Jags just suck right now.
No, they're a good team, just bad offense. Right?
Thank you for clarifying, Matt. Yes, bad offense.
Not a bad team. 0-2, not a bad team.
Hey, they got a better defense than the Eagles and the Giants. What are you looking at me like that for? How many points did you give up to the Packers last week?
Enough.
Answer the
Enough
question.
to win the game. To win the game.
Answer the question.
I honestly don't remember. 28, 29?
I think it was 28.
Okay, kept it under 30. That's fine in the NFL.
28?
29.
29 points. You've given up more points than the Jaguars have through 2 games. Okay? Let's keep that in check.
Yeah, and we're 2-0, so.
You're 1-0, and you gave up 29 points.
We'll see what happens tonight on Monday Night Football with Jack's boy, Joe Buck, on the call.
Fuck Joe Buck.
All right, that's all I got. Here. That's all I got. It's views from Section 400. Follow us on everything. We're blowing up. It's huge. Go Birds and go Phils. I'll catch you on the next one.
Fire Press Taylor and Joe Buck.
Hank Brown's the truth. War Eagle.
War Eagle.